You know, it's a blessing when a person could come up and testify to the mercy of the Most High God. Every person should have that in them. Everyone has a story they could tell. Anyone has something that they could add, because the importance of that is that you don't know who might be listening. Somebody might be going through the same struggles you went through, but it's so important what he said. He said that his brother told him, he said, no matter what, you still held on. It's like that guy hanging off on the cliff, and he's like, I'm going over the cliff, but I ain't, let me put the other arm up there and pull myself up. Because you never let go of Yah. And when you don't let go of Yah, he don't let go of you. So you never let go of Yah, because Yah is always going to be there, even when you least expect it. You go through the roughest. He said, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. You know, that's the jungle. We live in the jungle. When you walking through Brownsville projects of pink houses, and you say, well, I'm going to make it through here, you know, and Yah has got you. But the next two guys that come down might not make it through. That's Yah. You know what I'm saying? You walking down the street, dark block, and it's like, I'm going to make it through here. That's Yah watching over us. So we thank the Most High God, creator of heaven and earth, for our brother, Daniel, and that the Most High God will continue to give you strength. You right on the heels of your brother, too, boy. He told me how many kids you got. I said, boy, he going to make some more, too, because he younger. He got all these little kids popping up around here, man. So we thank the Most High. But it's a beautiful thing, you know. It's a beautiful. They said Judah was the largest tribe, so they used to making babies. So we thank the Most High God for our brothers and for the family being here with us today, and that we could enjoy this day. Thanking the Most High God for the life of Safta. She in the building. I see you, Safta. Hallelujah. The very Shakora. Thanking the Most High God for your life. And Ima Yakoli and everybody that's here with us today. So what we're doing, we got this, we continuing in the series of going into the history. So today we begin the book of 2 Samuel, starting from chapter 1. We've been following the life. We already went through the life of the judges of Israel. We went through the book of Judges. We followed up with the life of Samuel. And now we finished up with the life of Shaul, and we're right in the middle of David's life, or right at the beginning of his kingdom and his life. So y'all gonna sit here and push each other around? That's what you, just find another chair, man. Is there another chair right there? Open up that chair, let them sit down. I just wanted to announce to everyone online that on September 20th, sundown, Wednesday, September 20th. So this is for everyone online. I know I made this announcement extensively last night, but for those of you that might have fell asleep, Wednesday, September 20th at sundown will be the beginning of Yom Teruah. Yom Teruah is the day of the blowing. The day of the blowing of what? A horn. Traditionally, we blow a ram's horn, but Torah don't tell us what to blow. It just says it's the day of the blowing. We do know that on this day, as we read in Numbers chapter 10, it speaks about, it's also because it's the first day of the 7th month, which is the month of Etanim. It is not what we know as Rosh Hashanah. The Jewish man calls it Rosh Hashanah because he says that this is the ecclesiastical new year, meaning that this is the time when, or the celestial new year, this is the time when earth was supposedly created. But Torah tells us that Abib should be the beginning of months unto us. Amen. Right? Abib is the beginning of months unto us, and that starts around the spring season. But it's clearly stated in Torah that this is the 7th month. Am I right or wrong? Amen. So it says on the first day of the 7th month, it shall be a day of blowing. Right? So we traditionally blow the ram's horn. We blow the ram's horn in order, and that sort of symbolizes, or what some of the writings say is that it symbolizes the blowing on Mount Sinai when Moses went up there and he spoke to God And this is some of the symbolism behind it. Once again, Torah doesn't say that, but, you know, this is some of the traditions that are out there. So that begins on Wednesday at sundown to Thursday at sundown, this upcoming week. That's Wednesday the 20th to Thursday the 21st. We don't do the extra day because God only commands us to do one day. All right, so let's keep all those things in mind. The following day after that, 10 days after that, is Yom Kippur. This year, it falls on the Shabbat day. So that would be the following Shabbat, not the Shabbat day right after Yom Teruah, but the following Shabbat day will come in Yom Kippur. For those of you that don't know what Yom Kippur means the Day of Atonement. Yom means day, and HaKippurim means of atonement, right? So those are the days that we observe. On this day, we don't eat, we don't drink, we repent before the Most High God, and hopefully the Most High God will hear our supplications, and he will wipe our slates clean, and we get a new beginning. So we fast for a 24-hour period. We refrain ourselves from eating and drinking, and we pray that the Most High God will forgive us. And then 5 days after that, we'll begin the Feast of Booths, what we call Chag Sukkot. And this feast is a remembrance. We dwell in booths for 7 days. Now, it's not an 8-day feast. For many years, you know how many calls I get every year about, yeah, the 8th day of Sukkot. And I tell people it's not an 8th day of Sukkot. It's a 7-day feast. I said the 8th day is the Shemini Atzeret, is the solemn assembly. But because everything falls so concurrent, people make that mistake and call it the 8th day of Sukkot, but it's not a feast day. So the first day of Sukkot is also a holy day, is a feast day, right? So it's in commemoration of us dwelling in booths in the wilderness, or dwelling in huts or tents in the wilderness. So the Most High said, so every time during this time of the year, I want you to remember that, so you don't forget whence you came from. It's like you never forget what's your living conditions. No matter how glamorous your house is, I want you to dwell in these booths for 7 days so that you remember the harshness of what your forefathers had to go through. Amen. And some people build them in their houses and their terraces. Some people build them, we live in a city, so sometimes you don't have a backyard. Sometimes we have a central spot where we put it up, and that's where you go in there, you say a couple of prayers. I've known some people to sleep in there. Some people have dinner in there, but whatever you do, you have to dwell in there for 7 days so that you remember what our forefathers went through in the wilderness. And then on the 8th day after that is the solemn assembly, which is not a feast day, Shemini Atzeret, the 8th day solemn assembly, which we reflect on the past month and we remember everything that Yah had done for us. And also you're reflecting on your last harvest, because Sukkot is also your last harvest. So that's when you'll be bringing in your fruits and the last of everything that the earth is yielding. And there was also one of the times that you came up before the Most High God and not empty. So, and what are those 3 holy days that you come up before the Most High God and not empty? Can anybody recite them for me or tell me of them? The 3 holy days that you appear before the Creator and not empty. My brother, Emmett. There you go. Those are the 3 holy days that you come before the Most High God and not empty. So these are things we need to know. These are things that he said Pesach, he said Shavuot, which is the Feast of Weeks, and he also said Chag Sukkot, which is the Feast of Booths. So those are the 3 times that you come before the Most High God and you appear before him and not empty. So everyone is clear with that? I didn't give all the dates, right? So Yom Kippur is on the 30th, right? Shabbat, that Shabbat day, which will begin the 29th, right? The first day of Chag Sukkot is the 5th, right? We'll begin on the 4th, right? Begins on the 4th at sundown. And the last day, or Shemini Atzeret, will be the 12th, which will begin on the 11th. That's October the 5th, right? And October the 12th. That's for everyone online. All right? The other days fall in September in the Gregorian calendar, I mean. So is everyone clear with that? Okay. Any questions on it? Anybody needs any understanding on it? I think everybody in here pretty much understands what it's about. Hallelujah. So let's go to the book of 2 Samuel, and let's continue in our history. That's the Most High God. And as we see here, what our forefathers go through and what they went through. You know, what I love about the history is that we realize that these were normal men with regular feelings like we have today, talk about each other, murder each other, do all the things that common people do today. Amen. But there were some exceptions to the rule, some people that were better than others. They were just closer, I would say they were closer to God in that time because God was communicating more with them. But they had the same type of feelings that we had. So let us continue in this history and let's open up the second book of Shemuel, or Shemuel Beit. Let's go.
We're in the second book of Shemuel, which is Samuel. First chapter, first verse, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And it came to pass, after the death of Saul, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, and David had abode 2 days in Ziklag. And it even came to pass on the third day, that behold, a man came out of the camp from Saul, with his clothes rent, and earth upon his head. And so it was when he came to David, that David fell to the earth and prostrated himself. And David said unto him, From whence comest thou? And he said unto him, Out of the camp of Yisrael am I escaped. And David said unto him, How went the matter? I pray thee tell me. And he answered, The people are fled from the battle, and many of the people also are fallen and dead. And Saul and Jonathan his son are dead also.
So last week we read about the death of Saul, right? So what did we read? That Saul asked his armor bearer, right? Take me out. I'm wounded. They said the archers was in hot pursuit. That's the dudes with the archers back then will be today the guys with the machine guns. And they just raining bullets on you, right? And like the brother said, when archers came, it wasn't just like one archer trying to pick you off. It was like 1,000 archers just throwing arrows into the air, and wherever it landed, that's where it hit. So he was wounded. He asked his armor bearer, he said, listen, take me out because I don't want to fall into the hands of these dogs. Armor bearer said, I'm not going to do that. I refuse to do that. So he fell on his own sword, and then the armor bearer killed himself. Because he can't go back saying, you know, you the armor bearer. So the armor bearer is like the bodyguard. Yeah. You can't go back saying, yeah, you the bodyguard. You say, yeah, they got so-and-so, and I'm still here alive.
You come back and he don't.
And you come back and he dead. Right. Be like, hold on, you supposed to be the bodyguard. The bodyguard's supposed to take bullets. That's why you're called the bodyguard. You know, it's like, I believe it was Ronald Reagan, President Reagan. Back in the days, he got shot, but his detail, the security detail. I think the guy, one of them jumped in front of the gunman and he stayed paralyzed. That's really the job of a bodyguard, to put yourself in harm's way to protect the person that you protect. And so he could not come back to the people saying, yeah, man, Saul fell on his sword or he got wounded and you still alive talking and eating and all that. That's not going to work out well with the people. They're not going to appreciate that. Amen. So he fell on his sword. So right here, this Amalekite, he comes back to David and he's going to tell his version of the story about what happened, because there's a thing called what we know today as they call it brown nosing. And he wants to score points because he figures David doesn't like Saul. Right. So I'm going to score some points with David, but he ain't understand that David was a different type of man. Let's go.
Verse 5. And David said unto the young man that told him, How knowest thou that Saul and Jonathan his son are dead?
So how you know? Like, can you explain to me how you know that they dead?
Let's talk about this.
Tell me the story, man. Tell me the story. What happened? Let's go.
And the young man told him and said, as I happened by chance upon Mount Gilboa.
Oh man, I was on Mount Gilboa. I was strolling alongside Mount Gilboa. Let's go.
Behold, Saul leaned upon his spear, and lo, the chariots of the horsemen pressed hard upon him.
Saul was leaning on his spear, meaning he was wounded. So he couldn't stand up, and he was wounded on his chariot. And I saw him, and what he said.
And when he looked behind him, he saw me. And he called unto me, and I answered. I said, here am I.
Yeah, Saul said, come over here. I need you. Come over here, Amalekite. Let's go.
And he said unto me, who art thou? And I answered and said, I am an Amalekite.
Amalekite.
And he said unto me, stand, I pray thee, beside me, and slay me. For the agony have taken hold of me, because my life is yet in me.
You see, the act meaning he's going through too much pain. Right? You ever see, like, sometimes when people are suffering, you see it in movies, and people have done this. They say, look, take me out of my misery, because I'm in too much pain, and I'm not going to survive this wound that I have. So you might as well take me out now.
Amen. So
that I don't have to suffer anymore. And people did that. People did it with animals. If an animal was suffering too much, like when horses break their legs, they put them down right on the track because they can't do anything with the horse. There ain't no surgery for horses. There is no, because the horse is always on his feet. Horse is always on his feet, and that weight, that bone is never going to heal. Right. So they euthanize him right on the track, and they put him to sleep. So he's saying basically that Saul was in so much pain that he begged him to take him out of his misery. Let's go.
So I stood beside him and slew him. I was sure he could not live after that. He was fallen. He's
doing this to get brownie points from David, because he wants David to look at him like, wow, you did a great thing. Oh, and this was my enemy, and this was this. But he don't understand that David is on a whole different level. And David had been running away from Saul because he didn't want to kill him. David been honoring Saul because he was the Lord's anointed. And he was the person who put him in the position that he was in. So David didn't want to do any harm to Saul. Let us go.
And I took the crown that was upon his head and the bracelet that was on his arm, and I have brought them hither unto my Lord.
Yeah, and I got these things from him, and I brought them to you. So there's several things that are happening here. What law did this Amalekite break? Lying, right? He lied because he brought a story that was not true.
Right.
He didn't kill Saul. Saul killed himself. So there's lessons in all these things. Never bring back a story to try to make yourself look better than what the story really was.
Amen.
Because as you're going to see further down, what's going to happen to this Amalekite, because he thought he could get some points from King David. Let us go.
Verse 11.
Uh-huh.
Then David took a hold on his clothes and rent them.
David going straight into mourning. Let's go.
And likewise all the men that were with him.
So they follow suit. They rent their clothes. We know that was a way that we went into mourning. Let's go. And
they wailed and wept and fasted until evening.
Uh-oh.
For Saul and for Jonathan his son and for the people of the Lord.
Why did they fast until evening? Why did they specify they fasted until evening? Can anybody tell me that? They fasted until evening because that was a completion. Evening began a new day. So therefore, at the end of when the evening approached is when they would eat again, right? Because that made a completion. Because that's how we counted our days, right? From evening to evening, we counted a day. So it shows it here clearly that they waited till evening before they ate anything, and they were mourning. So now they finished mourning. They probably eating now, and let's see what transpires.
And for the house of Yisrael, because they were fallen by the sword. Verse 13.
Verse 13.
And David said unto the young man,
now David, after crying and boo-hooing and tearing his clothes off and going through all that, he turns to the young man, the young Amalekite, and he tells him what?
Whence art thou?
Where you come from? Now remember, David just came from killing Amalekites. So now he's asking him, where you come from? Now his mind is clearing up. Let's go.
And he answered, I am the son of an Amalekite stranger.
I am the son of an Amalekite stranger. Let's go.
And David said unto him,
David said unto him,
how wast thou not afraid
Uh-huh.
to put forth thy hand to destroy Jehovah's anointed?
to destroy Jehovah's. How you wasn't afraid to kill the Lord's anointed? Explain that to me. So now you know he's in a hot situation right now. Because he's thinking he's bringing good news to David.
Be thinking this story.
Yeah. But now David switched it all back to him and said, how did you not think that it wasn't okay for you to put your hands on the Lord's anointed? That didn't go through your mind? Let's go.
And David called one of the young men and said,
He called
"Go
one of the
near,
young soldiers. He said, come over here. Uh-huh.
Go near and fall upon him. And he smote him that he died.
And he died. And what David says next?
And David said unto him,
Uh-huh.
thy blood be upon thy head.
Be upon
for
your
thy
head.
mouth have testified against thee, saying, I have slain Jehovah's anointed.
So he didn't need two witnesses to establish that matter.
Need that.
He didn't need that. That's why in this judicial system, they say anything you say can and will be used
And will.
against you in the court of law. So from when you start running your mouth, right? That's why they say first thing you do is you get you a lawyer and you shut your mouth. Because the thing you don't say is what might save your life.
Right.
Say, shut up. So he started running his mouth. And that's what testified against him.
Amen.
That he started talking. And he started saying things that didn't happen. So David is clearing his hands and saying, now if the story is not true, because he probably started going, no, it didn't go that way. I'm just making it up. He said, nah, it's too late now.
Too late, bro.
You already testified against your own self as to what you did. And that blood going to be off my hand because your own mouth has testified against you. Let's go.
Verse 17.
Uh-huh.
And David lamented. And David lamented with the lamentation over Saul and over Jonathan his son, and said, to teach the sons of Judah to bow. Behold, it is written in the book of Yah, thy beauty, O Yisrael, upon the high places of slain. How art the mighty fallen? Tell it not in Gath, publish it not in the streets of Askelon, lest the daughters of the Philistines rejoice, lest the daughters of the uncircumcised triumph.
So a lamentation is a little bit different than a song. A lamentation is more like a cry, right? A lament is like a cry. So now David is pouring out his soul and saying, listen, let's not publish this in the cities of the Philistines, right, because they're going to rejoice over this. Right. The daughters are going to be coming out of the Philistines. They're going to be dancing and all of that. So please, Lord, don't let this be published over there. Let us go.
21. Ye mountains of Gilboa, let there be no dew or rain upon you, neither field of choice fruits. For there the shield of the mighty was vilely cast away. The shield of Saul, not anointed with oil.
Not anointed with oil. Let's go.
From the blood of the slain, from the fat of the mighty. The bow of Jonathan turned not back. And the word of Saul returned not empty. So
he's talking about their greatness and their bravery and how strong Jonathan and Saul were in battle. Let us go.
Saul and Jonathan, the lovely and the pleasant. In their lives, even in their death, they were not divided. They were swifter than eagles. They were stronger than lions.
He said the son honored the father. He stayed by the father's side through and through. And he knew his father was mad. He knew he was mad. He stayed with his father through and through. And Saul wasn't no young buck, you know. Saul was already up there in age. Because when we read on, you're going to see Ishbosheth, right, which is his son that was put into rule. He was 40 years old. So Saul at least had to be in his 50s. Somewhere in his 50s at least. The least he would have to be is in his 50s. So he wasn't no young guy. He was going in and out into war. He was warring. So for what we see about Saul, Saul was still the first king that we know in Israel. The first king that we know in Israel, and he fought with the Philistines and with the Lord's enemies as he seen it fit. He just went into, it says that the Most High God will put an evil spirit upon him when it came to David. But David had to go through some adversity in order to get the position that he got. It wasn't going to be given to him easy. Just like we go through adversity in life. The things that we want the most is the things that God makes us earn.
Right, work for that.
You got to work for that. You want to be a doctor? You know how many years a doctor got to put in before he becomes a doctor? Got to put in about 10 years just to become a resident. Just to have the privilege of being in the hospital on call 24/7. That's how you start. And they could wake you up at any time. You in there, you got to, what do you call the doctors that deliver babies? Yes, them. So, anytime my children you always had the doctor who was supposed to deliver, right? But when you go there at 2 in the morning, that doctor ain't coming to the hospital. Who they call? They call the guy or the lady that's sleeping in the next room, and he come. All right, push. That's all he do, push. All right, the hip is coming up, all right. Them guys got to earn their keep. They got to earn that being at home sleeping at 2 in the morning. Amen. They got to sleep in the hospital. Amen. That's what they do. So, you got to put in your time for the things that you want the most. David had to put in the time. David was in that wilderness for a long time, running from Saul. Amen. And he had nothing but love for Saul. But he had to go earn it. Let's go.
24. Ye daughters of Yisrael, weep over Saul, who clothed you in scarlet with other delights, who put ornaments of gold upon your apparel. How art the mighty fallen in the midst of the battle.
You hear that? His whole thought was different. Most of us would have been like, man, I'm glad that Negro is out of here, man. He was a thorn on my side, man. It was about time, Most High.
Amen.
And he talking about, daughters, don't forget that he clothed you with ornaments. Meaning, when he came back from war, we all ate. Amen. Everybody was decked out. He came back and put us in all fine apparels. He didn't forget that. Let us go.
Jonathan upon thy high places is slain. I am in distress for thee, my brother Jonathan.
He called them his brother. And they didn't have the same mother and same father, but he called them his brother. Let's go.
Very pleasant hast thou been unto me. Wonderful was thy love to me, passing the love of women. How art the mighty fallen, and the weapons of war perish. The freaky thinking people want to take this passage and talk about, David was a homosexual. Him and Jonathan were homosexual because they said that the love that he had surpassed the love of a woman. That's only them weird thinking people that think that. Right.
But you ever had a friend that's so close to you that you will give your life for him? Yeah. That's what it's talking about.
That's all it's talking about.
That's all it's talking about. Meaning he won't put nobody and nothing in front of him, or you won't put nobody and nothing in front of him. Amen. It's like that's that bond, and you don't even come out of the same womb, or you don't even come out of the same father. It's just y'all just click, and it's like, you know what? That's my brother for life. No matter what we go through, that's my brother. That's my brother for life. That's what Jonathan and David were. That's why I said the love surpassed the love of a woman, because even when Saul told Jonathan, listen here, idiot, he gonna take the kingdom away from you. Saul was right. Jonathan didn't care about that. Amen. Jonathan acknowledged that David was going to be the next king. Amen. He acknowledged it. He said, man, God got plans for you. He said, just promise me that you won't kill me. Amen. And you won't kill my family. He said, just promise me that. So he had to have love and respect for him. He had to. Let us go.
Chapter 2, verse 1, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And it came to pass after this, that David inquired of Yahweh, saying, shall I go up into any of the cities of Yehudah? And Yahweh said unto him, go up. And David said, whither shall I go up? And he said unto Hebron.
Said, go up to Hebron. So David now, he leery because emotions is high. David been out there for a while, so now he's asking, look, should I go up to one of these cities in Judah? And the Most High told him, go up to Hebron. Let's go.
So David went up thither, and his 2 wives also, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail the wife of Nabal the Carmelite, and his men that were with him did David bring up, every man with his household, and they dwelt in the cities of Hebron.
The Jezreelites was from like the area of Yissaskar. So she was a Yissaskarite. Let's go.
Verse 4. and the men of Yehuda came. And they there anointed David king over the house of Judah.
So David was anointed king over the house of Judah. Once again, because remember, Samuel already anointed him prior to this. Let's go.
And they told David, saying, the men of Yabesh Gilead were they that buried Saul. And David sent messengers unto the men of Yabesh Gilead and said unto them, blessed be ye of Yahweh, that ye have shown this kindness unto your Lord, even unto Saul, and have buried him. And now Yahweh show kindness and truth unto you. And I will also requite you this kindness, because ye have done this thing. Now therefore let your hands be strong and be ye valiant. For Saul your Lord is dead, and also the house of Judah have anointed me king over them.
So now David is appreciative of what these men did, that they were honorable enough to bury Shaul, right? So he came up there, he just acknowledged the men of Jabesh Gilead and told them how much he appreciated what they did for Shaul. And then he also dropped in there, listen, I've been anointed king, and this is what's happening right now, and, you know, this is how it's going to go down. Let's go.
Now, Abner, the son of Ner, captain of Saul's host, had taken Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim.
So now, Abner was Saul's general to the army, but he was also his cousin.
Right.
Little bit of nepotism, but the kingdom was young during that time. So what happens is you tend to put people in position of power that you trust, that are close to you, that you've been running with, your road dog. You know what I'm saying? You all already been in situations, so you tend to trust them. When we look at David's size, David had nothing but his nephews running stuff, and they was running wild. His nephews was all over the place. You're gonna start to see his nephews. His nephews is off the, especially Joab. This guy is off the hook. He's a reckless cowboy, but he was, I say he was a necessary evil.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Because Joab was a lot of the things he did was wrong, but he had to do some things that David would not do.
Amen.
You understand what I'm saying? Like Absalom, David said, bring him back to me. Bring the lad back. You can't bring him back to you. Man, done slept with your 10 women. He trying to kill you, and you talking about bring him back to me? No. That's not going to work like that.
Not a lot.
You know? But this guy was so reckless, he killed his own cousin so he could get back in. Because Amasa was their cousin. He killed Amasa. So these are, you know, when you begin to see how the kingdom is formed, people are using their sons, they're using their best boy or their cousins or their nephews in order to build up. Let us go.
Verse 9. And he made him king over Gilead, and over the Asherites, and over Jezreel, and over Ephraim, and over Benjamin, and over all Yisrael. Ishbosheth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Yisrael, and he reigned 2 years. But the house of Yehuda followed David.
You see? So now there's a separation. The house of Yehuda followed David, but everybody else followed. They followed Abner.
Right.
Abner was the strong man. Ishbosheth wasn't built for this.
No.
This wasn't his thing. Abner is like today you see, like in Panama, when I was living in Panama, you had Manuel Noriega. He was the general of the army. Panama had presidents, but everybody knew who ran the country. The strong man. So Abner was the strong man running the country. He was running these other tribes, and he put Ishbosheth up there because that was the thing to do.
Right.
This is Saul's son.
Right.
I'm going to put him up there, but I really run and do what I want to do. And I run this. Let's go.
At the time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Yehuda was 7 years and 6 months. And Abner, the son of Ner, and the servants of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, went out from Mahanaim to Gibeon. And Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and the servants of David went out, and they met together by the pool of Gibeon and sat down, the one on the one side of the pool and the other on the other side of the pool.
So let me set this up. So Zeruiah was one of David's sisters. Now this is his sister. This is not even a man. This is not a guy. Now all 3 of her sons is in the army. Abishai, Joab, and you got Asahel.
Mm-hmm.
They're all in the army. And then the son of his other sister, what's her name? Abigail. He had a sister named Abigail. That was Amasa. So he had 4 of his nephews in the army with him. You don't hear about David. David had like 7 other brothers. You don't hear about none of them being in the army. You had all the sons of the sisters are in the army, and they tough warriors.
Yeah. Amen.
The toughness came through the woman. And what? Because you only hear about one of David's brother at the beginning when David comes to the camp to bring cheese and stuff like that, and he's telling David, "Shut up, go back home."
Right.
Who's tending those few little sheep that Jesse got over there? Yeah, David said, "Don't talk tough to me. Y'all ain't going out there and dealing with that big uncircumcised Philistine. You letting them talk all that junk, but you want to talk tough to me."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So David, when you look at his warriors, they come from his sisters. Now think about that. So at this point, Abner, who is the commander of the army of the other tribes, and Joab, who's the commander of the army of the tribes of the tribe of Judah, now they meet each other. So now they're going to have a urinating contest. Because this is what this is called today. And let's see what they do.
Verse 14.
Uh-huh.
And Abner said unto Joab, "Let the young men, I pray thee, arise and play before us."
Yeah, they one is saying, just imagine it. You sitting, you're looking at each other. First they staring each other down. They probably talking junk. People flanking each other, talking junk and looking, and the bad man stares. So Abner said enough is enough. He said, "All right, let's see how good your young man is." So, "All right, let's see how good your young man is." So they looking at each other across from the pool, right? So I say, "All right, let the young man do what?
Rise up and play before us."
Let them rise up and play before, not play like how we play today. Today, let's go out and play. We're going to jump, play basketball.
Nah, that ain't it.
We're going to do this, not that kind of playing. We're going to go and play tennis. That's not that type of playing. Let's see what type of playing they do.
And Joab said, "Let them arise."
Let them arise.
Then they arose and passed over by number 12 for Benjamin, and for Ishbosheth the son of Shaul, and 12 of the servants of David.
And let's see how they played.
And they caught everyone his fellow by the head.
Say, "Come over here, monkey. Come over here." They grab each other by the head, the back of the neck. "Come over here." Now picture this. You looking at another man, looking at him face to face, his stinking breath is blowing in your face and your stinking breath blowing in his. And what it said?
And thrust him through with his sword
and
in his fellow's side.
And they both standing there. You ready? You ready to die? And they both sticking each other. That's the way they played. Let them step, because they couldn't come back to Joab and Abner talking about, "I'm scared." You had to make a decision there. So when he started picking, he said, "You next, you next, you next." And the one that went right after the first one, he already knew what it was going to be.
Right.
So there was no time to run. You got to think about the mentality. And they're going to stand each other. That's hand-to-hand combat, warfare, and you knew you were going to leave up out of here because they both going to hit each other. They know what a death blow is. They know where to hit each other. So they both hitting each other, and they both dropping at the same time. It said 12 men, 24 in all.
Right.
This is how they did. And they killed themselves. Let's go.
So they fell down together, wherefore that place was called Kelquat Hazurim, which is in Gibeon. And the battle was very sore that day. And Abner was beaten, and the men of Yisrael before the servants of David.
Why? Because David now is beginning to be raised up before God.
Amen.
So now Abner can't win this because God is in the matter. God is the one that told David to go up to Hebron. God is the one that's in the matter now with King David. Let us go.
Verse 18. And the 3 sons of Zeruiah were there, Joab and Abishai and Asahel. And Asahel was a light of foot as one of the roes that are in the field.
So Asahel was real fast. So what Asahel said? He said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm going to get me this notch underneath my belt." He said, "I see something that I could." He said, I see a big prize that if I get this, he said, not even Joab could say anything to me. Let's go.
And Uzziel pursued after Abner.
He pursued after Abner.
Going, he turned not to the right hand nor to the left from following Abner. Then Abner looked behind him and said, "Is it thou, Uzziel?" And he answered and said, "It is I."
So now this is the funny thing. They all know each other. They all know each other. Why they know each other? Because when David joined the army, who you think he brought with him? He brought his road dogs. These is his road dogs. So they was all there together. When Abner was the commander of the armies of Yisrael and David was under him, right? Asahel, Abishai, Joab, they all was there. They were all there, so they know each other. So he said, he running, he said, Asahel, I know that's not you. Asahel, just fall back, man. Fall back. And what else does he tell him?
And Abner said unto him, "Turn thee aside to the right hand or to the left.
Right.
And lay thee hold on one of the young men and take their armor."
Stay on your level. You ever seen that? Somebody tell you, "All right, young boy, stay on your level.
Watch your mouth.
Find somebody, watch your mouth, or find somebody on your level because you ain't on my level." This is what he telling them. Listen, you're not on my level, right? Stay on your level. Don't try to get any notches underneath your belt off me because that ain't going to happen. Yeah, go get some armor from one of the other young guys over there. Somebody on your level. Work on that, but don't come out against me because they ain't going to end up good. Let's go.
But Uzziel would not turn aside from following.
Why? Because Uzziel, his eyes lit up. What he's saying to himself is, they weak now. They running. And what? I'm gonna get me this trophy.
Prize, the trophy.
Yeah, I'm gonna get me this trophy, and I'm gonna always have bragging rights over my brother. Because war is competitive too. You know that, right?
Just like any other sport.
If a general takes a certain hill that another general couldn't take, hey man, he gets the prizes, he gets all the bars and all that. Yeah, he gets all of that. So now he said, man, my brother, I'm on him. I'm on Abner. Let's go.
22, and Abner said again to Uzziel,
Told him again,
"Turn thee aside from following me. Wherefore should I smite thee to the ground? How then should I hold up my face to Joab thy brother?"
He told him already how it's going to end up. Yeah. So that OG tell you, listen, I'm going to tell you one more time. You say one more thing to me, I'm going to knock you out. And then you're going to have to go call your father, your big brother, whoever, and then we're going to have to work that out. That's what he's telling them. He said, it's not going to end up good for you. He said, he said, when I turn around and smite you and I kill you, how can I explain that to your brother? Amen. Who's on my level?
Amen.
Let us go.
23. Howbeit, he refused to turn aside. Wherefore,
that's them young bucks that don't want to listen. You want to get your rep off of an OG, and then that OG drop you, knock you out. Why? Because experience. Why? Because he knows more than you. Why? Because he understands war better than you.
He did that.
Yeah, you're doing all of it. You might be a nice little warrior, but you're not on that level yet.
Not him. Amen.
You're not on that level yet. You're not on that level. So keep that. You see, there was a certain thing called respect before.
Amen.
There was a certain thing called respect.
Talk about that.
There was a certain thing called respect. When you had an OG, he was always given respect. Right? When you had somebody that was older, that already put in the time and put in the work, he was given respect. So when you came on the block, you never disrespected him, no matter how old he got, because he kept that respect, because he earned it. Especially when you moving in the streets and you doing certain things, certain dudes on the block, it was never carried out that way.
Amen.
You always respected the older generation that was there.
Amen.
And the older generation was the one that tightened you up, made you tough. Hey, shorty, what you doing? But, you know, they rough you up, but sometimes they show you tough love, you know, and then you always had one that tried to go overboard, but you had other guys that were there that would put him in check, like, man, leave shorty alone. Right. You know what I mean? There was always that. There was checks and balances. Man, leave him alone, man. Leave his bike. You know, you come in with your bike, and you're like, yo, shorty.
Let me get a ride.
Let me get a ride. You be like this. either it's not coming back or it's coming back late at night, and your parents is gonna be asking you where your bike at, and you like this. He might not steal it because you got to see him again, but he ain't bringing it back for a couple of days, and when he bring it back, it's gonna have flats on it. Like, yo, shorty, I hit a couple of potholes, man. Don't worry, your rim is a little bit bent, But that was the block.
That was the block.
That's what happened. You lived in a building, that's how it was. But it was always that level of respect. You never jumped out the water or jumped out the window on somebody older because you understood that there was a rank and file. And this is what Abner is telling Asa. There's a rank and file to this, man. Go find somebody on your level. You're not on my level. Let us go.
Wherefore, Abner with the hinder end of the spear.
It said with the back end. Now the spear, the top part of the spear got metal on it.
Right.
The back part of the spear is wood. So he said with the hinder part of the spear. This is how hard he hit him. Let's see.
Smote him in the groin.
Hit him in the groin.
That the spear came out behind him, and he fell there and died in the same place.
Man, that's some stuff you can't even think about today. So that means he chasing him. He chasing him, and he telling him, fall back, young boy. Fall back. So, and he was so nice with it, he probably felt when he was right at that spot, and he said, bah!
Yeah.
Hit him in the groin, came back through his back. He ran into it, and boom, he fell there dead. Let's go.
And it came to pass that as many came to the place where Asael fell down and died, stood still. But Joab and Abishai pursued after Abner, and the sun went down when they came to the hill of Ammah, that lieth before Gaah, by the way of the wilderness in the Gibeon.
People couldn't believe it. They said when they came to the spot where he was dead, they just stood and couldn't believe it. They were in awe. But Joab was in hot pursuit. Angry. He saw it, he kept it moving. He said, I'm going to get him. He was angry. Why? Because now he became, I'm going to avenge my brother's death. Right. Now, these are natural feelings. These are all natural feelings. You killed my brother, I'm going to kill you. This is war. You know what I'm saying? So he became now, him and Abishai, they're now the avengers of blood. They're in hot pursuit. We're going to get them. Let's go.
And the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together after Abner and became one band and stood at the top of the hill.
They stood at the top of the hill. He made it to the top of a hill. Let's go.
Then Abner called to Joab and said, shall a sword devour forever? Knowest not that there will be built bitterness in the end? How long shall it be then ere bid thou people to return from following after their brethren?
The thing about a civil war is that civil war is almost, it takes a lot for them to end. You know how much bloodshed happens? You know what happened? How many people died in the Civil War in America?
Yeah. Amen.
Why? Because when brothers fight, or when a nation fight, they fighting almost to the end. Because I can't see me losing to you. You can't see you losing to me. So at this point, Joab is so hot that the whole tribe of Benjamin had to come out. They was warriors. They were known as left-handed warriors. They came out and they had Abner's back. And Abner had to tell them, man, how long this going to go on?
Right.
We're going to just keep killing each other till there's no more of us left. So you got to put an end to this. Let's go.
27. And Joab said, as God liveth, if thou hadst not spoken, surely then only after the morning the people had gone away, everyone from following his brother. So Joab blew the horn, and all the people stood still and pursued after Yisrael no more, neither fought they anymore.
They didn't fight no more after this. Let's go.
And Abner and his men went all that night through the Arabah, and they passed over Jordan, and went through all Beat Roan and came to Machanaim.
They came to Machanaim. Let's go.
And Joab returned from following after Abner. And when he had gathered all the people together, there lacked of David's servants 19 men and Asael.
So that's the 12, right, that initially died, plus 7 and Asael, right? That's 20. Let's go.
But the servants of David had smitten of Benjamin, even of Abner's men, 360 men died.
They took out a lot of them. Let's go.
And they took up Asael and buried him in the sepulchre of his father, which was in Beit Lechem.
So they took him back to Beit Lechem. That's where David and all them is from. That's the land where they come from. So they took him back there and buried him in his father's gravesite. Let's go.
And Joab and his men went all night, and the day broke upon them at Hebron.
At Hebron. So they buried him, and then they went back to Hebron. So bring David, obviously, the news of what happened. But this is what happens when your ego takes over.
Right.
This could have been avoided. These are lessons that we get. Ego gets us nowhere. Especially when we're dealing with each other. When you're dealing with people in general, you gotta have control of your ego. Because if they didn't go on a pissing contest, as they would say, it would have never gotten to this.
Amen.
If they would have been on a brotherly trip, they might have been able to work out whatever was going on, but they didn't want that because the ego kicked into place. So now I'm going to show you that my warriors are tougher than yours. But in return, you're killing your own people.
Amen.
That's what happened with gang violence and stuff like that. At the end of the day, you're killing your own brothers and sisters.
Amen.
So when you go to places like Chicago, when you go to places like LA, here in New York City, when you got that gang violence going back and forth, I understand it because nobody wants to take a L. Nobody ever wants to take a L. Nobody wants to take a L. I tell you that. You know, somebody does something to you, you want it right back. Right? That you want it right back. You don't want to hear nobody talking about, yo, man, you know, you need to really reconsider. Not at that time. You don't want to hear that. Joab did not want to hear that. He didn't want to hear somebody telling him, hey, man, you need to calm down. You need to. He was in hot pursuit. He didn't want to hear that at that time. He saw his brother dead, and he said, I'm going to kill him.
Amen.
That's what he said. But there comes a point where you have to use wisdom where things could be avoided. And here, there's no difference. That's why I said these men are the same back then that we are today. We got the same spirit. A warrior is a warrior, no matter what generation he come in.
Amen.
And this is what happened here. If they would have avoided this ego and this boosting of the spirit and pushing out your chest, they would have been better. Things would have turned out better than what they turned out. Let us go.
Chapter 3, verse 1. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Now there was long war between the house of Saul and the house of David. And David waxed stronger and stronger. But the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker.
Right, because this was naturally what was supposed to happen. Let's go. But it didn't happen overnight. That's why I tell you that sometimes the things that you look for don't just happen overnight. You got to earn them. They come with time. Let us go.
And unto David were sons born in Hebron. And his first wife, and his firstborn was Amnon of Ahinoam the Jezreelitess. And his second was Kileab of Abigail, the wife of Nabal the Carmelite. And the third was Absalom, the son of Maacah, the daughter of Talmai, king of Geshur.
Right.
And the fourth, Adoniah, the son of Haggith. And the fifth, Shephatiah, the son of Abitai. And the sixth, Itraim of Eglah, David's wife. These were born unto David in Hebron.
So I got a question. The Most High God gave a rule. He said to the kings of Israel, he said, don't multiply to yourself horses and don't multiply to yourselves wives. Did David fall short of that? Because right here I count about what, 6 wives? What do you have? About 6 wives? And he had one that was still waiting for him. Oh, that was married off, but later we're going to see that he's going to get her back. So did David fall under this? Was that too many, or was the Most High talking about 50 wives and 100 wives? Or was it a certain number? Because they don't give us a number. Yes, Shafta. Right. Amen. There you go. That's a good answer. Anybody else got anything else to Oh, you got something to say? He put his hand up. Let us go, Sama.
Verse 6. Verse 6. And it came to pass, while there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David, that Abner showed himself strong in the house of Saul.
Showed himself strong. Like I said, he was a strong man. He showed himself strong in the house of Saul. It's not even talking about Ishbosheth, and he's the king. It's talking about Abner. Let's go.
Now Saul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah.
Now Saul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah. That was Saul's wife. Let's go. A woman. Let's go.
The daughter of Aiah, and Ishbosheth said to Abner, wherefore hast thou gone into my father's concubine? Then Abner was very wroth for the words of Ishbosheth and said, am I a dog's head that belongeth to Judah? This day do I show kindness unto the house of Saul our father and his brethren and to his friends, and have not delivered unto thee into the hand of David? And yet thou chargest me today with a fault concerning this woman?
Listen, Abner was all wrong. He was wrong. Because what Ishbosheth told him was right. Yeah, you can't do that. Because what happens is, it's like what Absalom did to David. Right. When he slept with all his concubines. That was a total disrespect. That's like taking something that belonged to because the harem and everything falls into the hands of the new king, right? Ishbosheth is the new king. Now Ishbosheth, he's not going to sleep with his father's women, but nobody else going to sleep with them either. Right. No, you can't take the woman after the son can lay with his father's wife, either whether he's alive or he's dead. He can't lay with them. Now, when we look down further in history, when Solomon and his brother, who was his brother? Amnon, I believe. No, it wasn't Amnon. Adoniah. Joab took him and made him king. And then David had to get out of his sick bed and make the whole coronation and make Solomon king in front of all Israel, right? And then Adoniah sends Bathsheba to Solomon to tell him, hey, can I get the, what was the young girl? Abishag, the Shunammite. Can you send her to me for her to be wife to me? And Solomon said, what? He said, first you get Abishag, and then you're going to get the kingdom. So that was the whole thing. Like, you can't get what belonged to the king. And Abner was stepping over his boundaries. And Ishbosheth was right. Ishbosheth told him, man, what are you doing? You can't do this. But he didn't care. He said, look, what am I, a dog's head from Judah? I mean, yeah, I'm holding you down. Said, man, what's wrong with you? I've been holding you down all these years, and you're going to talk to me about this woman? But the principle is that you can't do that. Amen. You cannot do that. Let's go.
God do so to Abner, and more also, is as Jehovah have sworn to David, I do not even do so unto him, to transfer the kingdom from the house of Saul, and to set up the throne of David over Yisrael and over Judah, from Dan even unto Beersheba.
Well, I mean, this is really treason right here.
That's what it is.
And he's supposed to be really killed. But Ishbosheth can't do anything to him. That's the strong man. He's really running the nation. Because he's telling, and Ishbosheth and him are cousin. And he's telling his cousin, man, I'm going to transfer the kingdom over to David. I'm tired of you. You ain't running nothing. You're not running it the way it's supposed to be ran. I'm going to transfer this power over to David. So it showed you that he was really the one in control. Because at that point, Ishbosheth supposed to say fall on him. But he obviously didn't have the power to do that. Because the army that was there was the army that followed Abner. So he didn't have the power to do that. He got scared. Let's go.
And he could not answer Abner another word because he feared him.
He feared him. He feared him. Let's go.
And Abner sent messengers to David straightway, saying, who is in the land, saying also, make thy league with me, and behold, my hand shall be with thee, to bring over all Yisrael unto thee. So
now this is the last card Abner got to play.
Right.
Because in the back of his mind, Joab is still there. Joab ain't forget. Yeah, it's going to pass, but it's still there. Right. You know when you take a person out, and you know their brother, or you know whoever it is, you know that somewhere down the line you're gonna have to pay for it. It's like I seen the Tupac story, right? And they actually got the person who did it. They know who the person is, but he's dead now. So what the guy? It was the same guy who they stomped out in the casino. They stomped him out, but he was an active gang member, and you just not gonna do that to somebody and think you're gonna get away with it. In LA, it was immediate retaliation. They don't play that. As soon as you do something to someone, it's immediate retaliation. So they went out on the strip looking for Suge Knight and Tupac and all them, and they caught up to them. And like the guy said, the guy who was doing the testimony, his name was Keefy D. He said when he looked over to the car, he seen Suge Knight. He said, well, do you know him? He said, I know him from the 8th grade. He said, me and him he said, I know him from when I was 8 years old. We was in school together. But his nephew, he's testified against his nephew. His nephew obviously was dead. And he said his nephew was the one that came across and shot at Tupac and shot at Suge Knight, and that's how Tupac died or whatever. But it's always somebody that you know, and you know that there's going to be some retaliation or something that's going to come back at the end of that. Amen. And this is what's happening here. Abner is saying, listen, this guy's getting weak. He's weak. David is a strong king. I'm going to have to play my hands right. Bring the kingdom to David, and then I could keep, David got to have Joab in check, right, and he won't be coming after me. But the sons of Zeruiah. And when we start reading about them, we're going to see what type of characters they have. Let's go.
13. And he said, well, I will make a league with thee, but one thing I require of thee, that is, thou shalt not see my face, except thou first bring me Michal, Shaul's daughter, when thou comest to see my face.
When you come to see my face, that's still my wife. I never divorced her. Her father did that in wickedness and disrespect. Give her to another man, but she's still my wife. David ain't care about that. That's the love of his life. That was his first wife, the wife of his youth. That was his first woman. Let's go.
And David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, Saul's son, saying, deliver me my wife Michal, whom I betrothed for 100 foreskins of the Philistines. And Ishbosheth sent and took her from her husband, even from Paltiel, the son of Laish. And her husband went with her, weeping as he went,
Michal,
and following her to Bacharim.
Michal, I love you, Michal. Let's go.
Then said Abner unto him, go, return. And he returned.
And he returned. He should have never touched that woman. Even if Saul told, he should have never touched her.
Amen.
Because that's Torah. But it shows you that they wasn't, he should have known, he should have seen it like, nah, king, I can't do that. That's somebody's wife. He never divorced her. You know, so now he got to suffer the consequences because there was always a question of whether or not David should have took her back. David never divorced her, and it wasn't her fault. Her father was trying to be spiteful, so he gave her to another man. But the promise, she wasn't the one that broke her wedding vows. Right. It was the father who forced her to go to another man. It wasn't David, so David had no qualms with taking his woman back. She was his wife. You know what I'm saying? And I don't see anything wrong with it in Torah because she didn't do anything wrong. It was her father that forced her into that situation. Let's go.
17. And Abner had communication with the elders of Yisrael, saying, in times past ye sought for David to be king over you. Now then do it. For Yehovah have spoken of David, saying, by the hand of my servant David, I will save my people Yisrael out of the hand of the Philistines and out of the hand of all their enemies.
So Abner went on a political campaign,
right,
to win the people's hearts over to David and saying, listen, from times past, y'all already knew that this was the dude. This was the man. So let's not procrastinate any longer, and let's put him in his rightful position. Let's go.
And Abner spoke in the ears of Benjamin. And Abner went also to speak in the ears of David in Hebron. All that seemed good to Yisrael and to the whole house of Benjamin. So
Abner is on some serious campaigning. Let's go. And also Abner is saying to himself, if I align myself with David, you know he's going to make me commander of the army, or I'm going to be in the top position. Let's go.
So Abner came to David to Hebron, and 20 men with him. And David made Abner and the men that were with him a feast. And Abner said unto David, I will arise and go, and I will gather all Yisrael unto my lord the king, that they may make a covenant with thee, and that thou mayest reign over them, over all that thy soul desires. And David sent Abner away, and he went in peace.
So David, you know, when Abner came with his men, he made them a feast, made them feel comfortable, made them see, you know, everything is all right. This is diplomacy. You know, I'm on a higher level now. We're not in the field and we're not running around. This is diplomacy. This is how diplomats work with each other. You come out, you feast, you eat, you come to agreements, you come to pacts, right? Although you killed my nephew, I understand that it was done in war. And in war, you're going to take lives. But there's one person that refused to let this go. Let us go. 22.
And behold, the servants of David and Joab came from a foray and brought in a great spoil with him. But Abner was not with David in Hebron, for he had sent them away and he was gone in peace.
So they come back from raiding some town and they said they brought in a lot, you know, and the servants of David, they come back in. So now, you know, like you got today, you got gas masters, you got people who talk stuff and put stuff in your ear because he didn't see Abner deal with David. So somebody obviously had to tell him because David didn't tell him. Let's go.
23. When Joab and all the hosts that were with him would come, they told Joab, saying, Abner, the son of Ner, came to the king, and he has sent them away, and he is gone away in peace.
So, you know, this is the people that always into something, that want to start something, the talebearers. That's what they call them, the gossips, the people who always got to tell the story or got to tell something. And it happens like that in the hood. You coming from work, and before you get upstairs, man, you already got everything that happened on the block. You be like, where all that happened? So-and-so came down here and did that? Get out of here. You know, you get, and this is what happened. He coming back happy from a foray, from raiding and bringing in all these goods. And now they tell him, hey, man, you know, your man was down here. What you talking about, man? What you talking about? Your man, son, you wouldn't believe who was down here, man. You know your man. You know your man. You know how people know. You know how people know how to hype up. They make it intriguing. You be like, yo, come on, man. Can you stop? Your man's in them, man. You know what I'm talking about, man. Like, all right, man. Tell me, you gonna tell me who my man is? Abner, man. Not you talking about Abner from Judah, right? Abner, my cousin Abner. It was like, Abner from Benjamin, son. Stop playing. He was at, listen, I'm gonna tell you, because you my man. And you know, me and you go way back. So I want to hold this back from you. Now, I don't know if your uncle going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you what happened. Dude came through here, you know what I mean, with 20 deep. Them dudes came through here like, yo, they was strapped too. I see they was strapped. You know what I mean? But your uncle was like, nah, son, it's all good. You know what I mean?
You set up some food.
Yeah. And next thing you know, your uncle was like, yo, go get some goats, some sheep, you know what I mean? He made like a big feast. So we was out here, he was telling me to go into the vat and get the wine from like 30 years ago, 40 years ago when Shemuel was still alive. And I was like, for what? This cat done kill your nephew. But you know me, I ain't going, you know what I mean? I wasn't going to step out my boundaries because it's not on my level. You know what I'm saying? It's not on my level, but I know you. You know what I mean? Me and you go back. We used to be out there in the fields killing the lions and all that. So I got to tell you, by the time you get the story, you be like, what?
Furious.
And this is the worst part, son. I'll tell you the worst part. When he left, they like embraced for a long time. Like, yo, the dude was drunk and he didn't even tell us fall on him. Like we could have, like we had him, like we had the drop on him. Like word. By the time he go see David, he's at 100. He's like this. My brother, that's his nephew. He know what we had to go through. So let's read.
24.
Because the characters change, but the story stays the same. They was doing it back then. They do it today. That's how it goes.
That's the story.
That's how it goes. Let's go.
Then Joab came to the king and said, "What hast thou done?"
Just like that.
Abner came unto thee? What is it thou hast sent him away, and he is quite gone?
Let me put it in today's term. Let that, you come around here and you ain't do nothing to him? What's wrong with you, man? You getting soft, man. Joab, we trying to unify. I ain't trying to hear that.
Nothing.
I ain't trying to hear that. That's your nephew, man. That's your nephew. You and him got the same blood running through your veins, man. That's your nephew. And you gonna let that punk come through here and you don't even put your hands on him? You don't even smack him? You ain't snuff him? You ain't do nothing? And he come in, then I hear he was up in here, you brought the dancing girls out, and they was drinking and eating and doing all that. And I'm out there busting my behind, bringing all kinds of goods over here, and you over here partying with the enemy?
Come on, man.
Maybe you might not feel the same way, but that was my brother. So I don't know what you're going to do here. I can't believe you did this. What happened?
Thou knowest I'm Ner, the son of Ner, and he came to deceive you, man.
He came to deceive you.
Thou knowest not going out and not coming in, to know all that thou doest. And when Joab was come out from David, he sent messengers after Abner, and they brought him back.
They was reckless. The sons of Zeruiah was reckless. They didn't care. You know why? Familiarity breeds contempt. He don't care because I know David's dirt. He know my dirt. We family. At the end of the day, nepotism is a mother. What are you going to do, kill me? He going to kill me? He got to answer to my mother. He got to answer to his brothers. He got to answer to the whole family. He ain't going to kill me. And after all that I've done for him, yo, call Abner. Yo, the same dude who was gassing it up, the first dude I told you about that was like, yo, I know you, son, from back in the day. He sent him. He was like, yo, go get him. Go get him. Let's go.
And they brought him back from Bosira.
They brought him back. He thinking David wants him to come back. Let's go.
But David knew it not.
David didn't know it. Let's go.
And when Abner was returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside to the midst of the gate to speak with him quietly. And he smote him there in the groin that he died for the blood of Uzziel, his brother.
So, what verse was that?
That was verse 27.
27. So now, was this a righteous kill? Was he the avenger of blood? According to Torah, was Joab justified for what he did? Amen. It was war, no. Ima? Right.
It started with Saul, and it kept growing, and the next man that didn't use his brain caused it to get deeper and deeper. So you got Israel killing Israel.
Anybody else?
To me, it's justified. It's all out of place.
So, Cain.
Abner declared peace to Asahel and told him to leave. He may not have gotten a chance to tell David that or tell his side of the story. The narrator said it, but maybe he told David, that he gave the guy a chance. And
The moral of the story of what we see is, all right, the avenger of blood, there's a procedure. You just don't go get him and kill him. You got to bring him out and and David is going to present a part of it. He said he wasn't brought with feathers, he wasn't brought tied up, and he had a judgment to say whether or not he killed them. You know what I mean? And now Joab and David and all of them could be the avengers of blood. But this was done in war. This was in the middle of a battle in war. You know what I'm saying? So at this point, the avenger of blood, the law of the avenger of blood don't fall into this. But there is a thing called human emotion that you can't change. And when human emotion kicks in, you see, you think about your brother that y'all slept in the same bed, y'all played together, y'all did all types of stuff together, and you saying the dude who killed them is still out there. And whenever I get my hands on them, nobody is going to stop me. Nobody could talk me out of it. And this is Joab's mentality. But what he did is he superseded David's command. And David was the king of the kingdom at this point. So he was supposed to fall back and listen to David. But that familiarity that he had with David did not allow him to do that. That's why I said he was a necessary evil, because he did quite a few evil things. But he was one of the toughest hombres that you will see in this book. He put in, as they say in today's term, he put in that work. He put it in all the way. Let's go.
But if you recall, when David was dying, he told Solomon to get rid of him.
That's right. Because you see, the thing about that is, what I always imagine is he had dirt on David, and David had dirt on him. So it was like, I can't kill, because he killed Amasa. He killed Amasa, and he was like, again, you know, and Amasa was Joab's cousin, David's nephew. He left him on the side of the road. And he was ruthless. But it was something, I don't think David feared him, but I think they've been through so much in life. It's like when you got a knucklehead brother, or you got a brother that just doesn't listen, he's still your brother. Yeah. Cain. And he sent the letter, and who was the one who executed what he wanted him to do? They had dirt on each other.
There's a lot of corruption there.
Right.
Because all the people that went and got her to bring her to David, they were all a part of this. It was
Right.
all being done in the sight of the Most High.
Right.
And that's why all these things were coming down.
Right.
The Most High told us how to live.
Right.
We were going to Solomon from that.
Right, right.
All this stuff down.
That's right. That's right. Let's go. Let's finish it up.
28. And afterward, when David heard it, he said, I and my kingdom are guiltless before Yahweh forever from the blood of Abner, the son of Ner. And let it fall upon the head of Joab and upon all his father's house. And let there not fail from the house of Joab one that has an issue, or one that is a leper, or one that leaneth upon a staff, or falleth by the sword, or that lacketh bread.
David is cursing his own family. He cursing his own family because he's letting it be known, I had nothing to do with this. I didn't set that man up, because that's how it's going to look. It's going to look like David called them to get killed. And remember, Abner went through all the campaigning. He got to gather the people and let the people know David is the new king, and that's how you repay him? With gutting him? That's how you repay him? So David is making it clear, I had nothing to do with it. It was this wicked nephew of mine that did what he did, and let there be lack no lame mischief happening in his house. He cursed his own family, to let people know I had nothing to do with this. Let us go.
30. So Joab and Abishai, his brother, slew Abner because he had killed their brother Asael at Gibeon in the battle.
You hear that? But the human emotion kicked in. Because now it says Joab and Abishai killed them. That's my brother at the end of the day. So there's a thing called human emotion that sometimes it's easier to tell a person, let this go, but you don't feel the pain that that person feels. Amen. So now you have to, in your mind, you have to weigh up whether or not, you know, God is going to be happy with me if I do this, or if not. Some people don't think that way. They just think I'm going to retaliate and not deal with the consequences later. And this is what Abishai and Joab did. It's human emotions. Sometimes we can't control them. And this is how it is. This is real life. This is not a fairy tale. This is what is showing us, that these men did not live a fairy tale. This was real life. This is what they lived. This is what was going on. This is the debauchery and the adultery and all these things were happening, and it was left here on record to let us understand and know that these people lived real lives. Amen. And don't follow after their ways. Think a little bit more. Do a little bit better. But can I say I would have been different than Joab? Or Abishai? Can any of us say that? It's a different situation. Any of us could say, yeah, so, but if you see someone who killed your brother, killed your cousin, and you got the drop on them, now you got to think about yourself whether or not you could control yourself from doing what you, first thing you're going to rationalize, say, I'm the avenger of blood. And I got him. I got him. This is how we rationalize him. I'm the avenger of blood, and the Most High God delivered them to us. So I got him now. Let's go.
31. And David said to Joab and to all his people that were with him, rend your clothes and gird ye with sackcloth and wail before Abner. And King David followed, and King David followed the bier. And they buried Abner in Hebron. And the king lifted up his voice and wept at the grave of Abner. And all of the people wept. And the king lamented for Abner and said, should Abner die as a child dieth? Thy hands were not bound, nor thy feet put in fetters. As a man falleth before children of iniquity, so didst thou fall.
Yeah, he fell like a common man. You know what I'm saying? It's like you wasn't brought up to judgment. Wasn't any of that done. You just died like a wicked man. You know what I'm saying? And this wasn't the case. And King David was just letting it be known that, nah, we're going to put respect on Abner. We're going to put some respect on his name. All of y'all rent y'all clothes. All of y'all mourn, because this is a great general that has died in Israel. Let's go.
And all the people wept again over him. 35. And all the people came to cause David to eat bread while it was yet day.
While it was day what? While it was yet what?
While it was yet day. But
right.
David swore, saying, God do so to me and more also, if I taste bread or aught else till the sun be down.
So while it was yet, so when it's talking about while it was yet day, it's talking about daytime, right? Daylight. It said, but then what David said?
God do so to me and more also, if I taste bread or else till the sun be down.
So once again, wait till evening. That's the completion of something, right?
That's the completion of the day.
Of the day.
Yes, sir.
So therefore, a day is constituted from evening to evening. Am I right or wrong?
Makes sense to me.
All right. I mean, God never disappoints us.
Never.
It's always there. There's always little things that we could find that lets us know that it's there, right?
Yes, sir.
Let us go.
37. So all the people and all Yisrael understood that day that it was not of the king to slay Abner, the son of Ner.
So all the people of Yisrael understood that day, the complete 24-hour period, right?
Yes, sir.
That day, that it was not of the king to slay Abner, the son of Ner. Let's go.
And the king said unto his servants, know ye not that there is a prince and a great man fallen this day in Yisrael? And I am this day weak, and just anointed king, and these men, these sons of Zeruiah, are too hard for me. Yehovah reward the evildoer according to his wickedness. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Said the sons of Zeruiah are too hard for me. He couldn't deal with them. They were too much, but it's family, nepotism, and this shows us a great lesson about that, right? David surrounded himself around his family, but his family, his nephews really were no good. And he really should have gotten rid of them, but because they came up and he loved them so much, he could not get rid of them, to the point where when he wanted to build the temple, God said, y'all got too much blood. You got too much blood on your hand. Let your son build it. You know what I'm saying? It's because Joab was just that type of complex character. He's not even mentioned as one of the mighty men at the end, although he was a mighty man. Right. And that he's not given that honor. Being mentioned as one of the mighty men is like getting your bars and your stripes and all your medals. It's like God, he was not given that honor because of what he did and the way he went about doing things. Not that he was soft, because he was far from being soft. Amen. He was a warrior to the bone. I mean, this guy will fight, and he will take cities and go plunder and do all these things. But there's a lot of things that he did that caused a lot of friction within the kingdom, and he was just off the hook, as we will say today. Hallelujah. How are we looking out there? With that, I'll call up my brother Chief Benjamin to take some questions, since we got a few more minutes. Hallelujah.